are feeling very confident. Arnold Schwarzenegger's endorsement, the polarization in this country. He's going to quietly accept a loss. 50% of Americans now self-classify as independents. Donald Trump doesn't have the right character to lead the United States.
And joining us now is entrepreneur Andrew Yang, who also ran in the 2020 presidential election. He was very popular before he dropped out and endorsed President Biden. Andrew, thank you so much for talking with us. We're only 5 days away from the election. Just give us a pulse of, what you are hearing from the campaign. Where do you see this heading, especially that this race is too close to call?
I think it is going to go down to the wire. What's fascinating is I've gotten reports of confidence from both camps. Both sides think that they are going to win. Obviously, that can't be right. But I think it's going down to the wire, particularly in Pennsylvania.
Okay. Now, this is one of those, people have said this is as close as the election in the 60s with JFK. Obviously, modern polling has been calling it too close. From your own experience, running a campaign like this, it could probably get difficult. From your interaction with the Democratic leadership, even going all the way up to Vice President, how is she feeling about this election? I know you guys have been doing a lot of work, but what is she feeling? Any insights you can give us?
Yeah, they have some highly detailed voter profiles and data that, based upon their early returns, they are feeling very confident. They think that the folks that are voting early right now, that are voting for Trump, are just voters that are going to end up not voting on election day, frankly. Though they think the voter universe is defined and that they are in position to win. So they're feeling better and better down the stretch. I will say that Arnold Schwarzenegger's endorsement is significant. There are a lot of Nikki Haley voters that have been figuring out whether they're going to hold their nose and vote for Trump, or whether they're not going to vote, or whether they're going to vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz. And Arnold Schwarzenegger is a role model for many of those voters.
Asian Americans are playing an important role in this election. I've covered the campaign for the past 3 months. I've been around the community. Just out of curiosity, have you seen something like this before? Because this is the first time I've seen them go out. I've seen buses going from New York to Pennsylvania, from Washington, D.C. to, Pennsylvania, Michigan, even North Carolina. It's unprecedented in some ways.
Yeah, it's a sign of how close this is going to be. It's a sign of the emotions on both sides. Certainly, there are a lot of folks who are spending time on the ground in Pennsylvania in particular, because we know that they're going to decide the future of the country. It's certainly not the folks where I am here in New York or in California. Places like that are a done deal. But the stakes seem very high, Rohit, and it's a sign of the polarization in this country. It's just going up and up, the animus, the hostility. And that's something that makes us all very concerned. Where I was with someone who's a Trump supporter today, and he and I both just hoped that the election would be resolved in a timely manner and that it doesn't drag on for days and days with disputed results.
To a lot of people watching this, one of the questions is, will Donald Trump accept the results if he loses the election? He did not do that in 2020. Do you think it will be different this time around?
No one thinks he's going to quietly accept a loss. Even today, he started saying there was fraud in Pennsylvania, paving the road for him to dispute the result. And this is one reason why the concern levels are so high. There's a fear of strife and even violence in state capitals around the country if Trump loses and says that he didn't lose, because there are millions of Americans who will believe him.
Now, election integrity is one thing. We've seen ballots. We also have reports about somebody going out and burning ballots. That was coming in earlier today. Just from somebody watching from the outside, what reforms can America do to make sure its election is bulletproof in a sense where people cannot question it?
Well, Rohit, Faith in the media has declined precipitously. Faith in institutions like the presidency. There's a lot of rebuilding that has to happen in the U.S. And one of the things that I think would help diminish the polarization is having more than two political parties, which folks in India probably think to themselves, of course, because it's very unusual. America is an aberration in
Right.
having two political parties. And I joke sometimes, imagine a sports league where there are only two teams. Eventually, you'd start to detest each other. That's kind of the American political system. It's very poor design. It results in perverse incentives that reward politicians for not solving a problem and then placing blame on the other side. That's why I've co-founded the Forward Party, because America needs a viable third party. And 50% of Americans now self-classify as independents. A lot of folks are not happy, frankly, with either choice this election day.
You bring a very important point. There was a survey that came out from Carnegie 2 days ago that talked about a lot of Indian Americans becoming independents. I think they were a lot of they were supporting Democrats in about upward of like 70 some percentage. It's come down to 50 some. And a lot of them have registered themselves as independent, probably because of this polarization that you've talked about. Now, I'm assuming you're going to be asking people to vote for Vice President Kamala Harris this election cycle. What would you tell to those independent voters out there? Why are you endorsing her, and why do you want people to vote for Kamala Harris?
I'm someone who thinks that Donald Trump doesn't have the right character to lead the United States in a positive direction. I believe he'll increase the inflammation and divisiveness, and that's going to be bad for Asian Americans. It's going to be bad for America writ large. But there are millions of Asian Americans or Americans who aren't buying into the messages coming out of either party. And who are they? They tend to be pragmatic. They want good schools and safe streets and peaceful business environment. And they will reward the candidates who are trying to be more rational and solutions oriented as opposed to catering to the base of either party. That's what Forward wants to be. We are now the third biggest party in the country by resources. We have dozens of elected officials and are endorsing candidates in this race. I personally am endorsing Kamala Harris in the presidential because I think she's a superior choice to Donald Trump.
And you are going to go and do an Instagram and Facebook live with an Indian American comic, Rajiv. Where has the humor gone from American politics? Americans used to be able to have fun. We have like all these late night shows and people could joke about stuff. It's very serious now. What has happened to America?
It's very dark, and it's unfortunate. And Americans are looking around saying, what has happened to our political discourse or our media, where we might even be able to disagree and then laugh about it afterwards. But the stakes feel like life and death to millions of Americans. And so they don't want to have any kind of good humor approach because they regard the other side as the enemy. And my fervent hope is that no matter who wins this election, that we're able to come together. But unfortunately, the incentives are very much driving us apart. And it's one reason why I think the political dynamic has to change in order for the climate to improve.
Okay, one last question. It's Halloween, how do you celebrate how do you celebrate Halloween? I mean, are you doing anything fun? Are you doing or is it just political for you this time around?
Halloween is an enormous holiday in my household because it's my wife's birthday and my son's birthday,
Oh,
believe it or
happy
not.
birthday to them.
Oh yeah, so we get dressed up, we celebrate birthdays, and we go all out. It's a little bit funny to be doing this right before an election day. That's not the norm. I was trying to think about what happened 4 years ago, and it was COVID, so I don't think there was a lot of trick-or-treating going on. But it's a very, very serious holiday in the Yang household, and hopefully we can have some joy with the kids, even as we're working hard.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrew, for speaking with us. I know you have a busy schedule. Good luck with the remaining days on campaign trail if you're campaigning for Vice President Kamala Harris. And we'll definitely look forward to speaking with you on election night. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
Thank you. Bye bye.